Come down to this, the Cats and the Lions at the Triple MCG. One of these perennial finalists will again write their name in history. But before that all starts, let's address one of footy's biggest mysteries. Round 20, Marvel Stadium. It was the Saints versus the D's. One of the greatest individual performances that we're ever likely to see. How the was 34 touches and 4 goals not enough for Naz to get the 3? This is Triple M Footy's award-winning Midweek Rub, and I'm joined by the award-winning St Kilda mafioso, Joey Montagna.
Hello, Rabsy. Nice to be here. Someone just did your trick off the top, Daisy. These headphones were turned up full blast and blew my ears off there, but nice to be here for the final show of the year.
The award-winning Daisy Thomas is here as well.
Good to
Daisy.
see you, Wilbur.
No, it's not.
Just come straight back in.
Where's Will?
Just September. Yeah, Lockie Neal about you. There is.
Probably more Clark Keating with my physique, to be fair.
No, good to see you and great to be back here for the last time in 2025.
And the award-winning Damo himself, Damien Barrett.
Rabsy, good to see you back.
Good to see you too,
Running
mate.
this show.
Did you pull rank? We voted for Will. It was a 2v1 vote. We
Joey and I
Will.
voted for Will. Yeah.
I voted for Will too.
Yeah, but you haven't won a premiership. Neither of you. So Daisy
vote's
gets
worth
the
it.
call.
My week, baby.
His vote
It's my
is
week.
more. Hey, I thought 6 years of groundwork. I'm a
No.
foundation member, David Swallow style. They brought me in for a morale boost.
I like it. Very, very
Make
good.
sure you kick the winning point, all right?
Well, you've done well because you've been overseas for the better part of 3 months and
Yes.
you come back in and I wander in the office today and somehow you've scored yourself a free set of wiper blades
Yes, I have. And also...
and use a checkout code.
And thanks to the good people at Yeti, I've also got myself a bottle.
With your name on it.
With my name on it.
Magpies drink bottle with your
and
name
the
on it.
prelim finalist, Collingwood.
That's real nuffy stuff.
You haven't missed a beat though.
No,
It's
I
incredible.
haven't. To be fair, you consume a lot of football overseas because the Thursday night, Friday night games are about 10:30 in the morning. And when you got a baby, you're not doing a hell of a lot. So you're just sitting
times.
around. Great times. So listen to this podcast every week. Will did a great job. Jack Heverin did a great job filling in. So it's good to be back.
The world has officially gone mad though, Damo.
Yeah.
It's upside down, it's inside out, and I'm not sure what to do.
Right.
Brownlow medal night.
Yes.
I'm at home by 8 o'clock,
You
tucked
look
up with
dapper,
the
by the
baby.
way, ready
Thank
up.
you
Were you
very
home
much.
that early, were you?
I was home very early. Yeah.
Wow.
As soon as it was done, I was out of there
Yeah.
going
You've
to
changed.
change some nappies.
You've changed.
Yeah.
I get whispers that at Nobu at 2 a.m, one purple is still just floating around the joint,
Damo.
just wandering around in the wee hours of the morning.
Maybe not quite two, but close to. Yeah,
My
close to.
sources, what do we say? It's my understanding
Yes.
that it was very close to 2.
Who were some of the rat bags that you were hanging around with at 2 a.m. that were in good form?
There were a few Port Adelaide guys there. There was some Dockers guys there. No, everyone was in a good mood. It was a guns down night, I felt, the whole
Really?
way through. Yeah, it was,
So-
it was just a really good feel in the room.
No,
I
you didn't
felt.
bump into anyone? No run-ins?
No, the only one I need to avoid, we did sort of come close to each other, but nothing happened. No, we haven't
who?
spoken for 10 years. But
With Bevo?
yeah,
That all started at a Brownlow, did it?
it
not?
started at a Brownlow 10 years ago, actually. Yeah, 2015. Yeah.
Surely you could have broke bread or at
No,
least get
no interest now. So that's got
try
it's
and
got
take him on in
beyond
an
the-
arm wrestle or something.
I wouldn't do that.
And I'll tell you what else has changed. So Damo's there at 2 a.m. That's normally your gig. And you're the one breaking stories, breaking news, interviewing Zach Merritt. I
Yes.
saw
Well, you-
on the
well,
red
you can't
carpet.
say
So,
that's-
Geez,
Yeah, well, we have flipped.
we've flipped. Yeah, you're the one
Oh,
getting
yeah.
the scoops.
Well,
Yeah.
I was most impressed that Zach actually rocked up to the Brownlow, and that was, I think, really smart management by him because we hadn't heard from him, and then there was a lot of talk, is he going to go to the Crichton Medal, which is this Thursday after the Grand Final. So he stopped, he chatted, and we were sort of just shooting the shit, and I was like, and he was still there. I was like, mate, do you want to actually, can I call the camera over? He goes, yeah, sure. So I asked him a couple of questions, and it was good to hear from him. So, grateful that he did say something and I think cleared the air a little bit.
And I saw Bailey Smith interview as well, and he gave you a pump up. For I remember 12 months ago, you were having a kick down the park with him and doing a bit of work with him. So he gave Daisy a special acknowledgement as well for helping Bailey get to a grand final. What a year he's had.
Finished third in the Brownlow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done,
He
Daisy.
probably would have won it if I didn't go kick the kid with him.
A lot of Premiership reunions are held during
Yes.
this week as well, aren't they? Lots of them. There's also some runners-up reunions we've heard of too, Days.
Yes. It's a bit of an awkward one because
Yeah.
I'm probably the reason they are runners up. Let's face it. But you and your Saints boys, and you catch up
We have our prelim reunion.
prelim reunion because you won some good prelims.
We did win a couple of prelims, so we celebrated.
So do you celebrate the prelim win or the grand final loss?
We celebrate the prelim wins. We talk about the prelim and who played well, and we always get together once a year, and we do it the week before, and it was nice to see a few old faces.
Well, it's my understanding again, Damo, and
Yeah.
I am a sleuth these days.
Yeah.
Your sources are as good as anyone's.
Benny
I know.
Cousins
Yeah.
and Dustin Martin were in attendance.
They were,
Wow.
yeah.
They didn't play for the Saints.
Well, Well, they were both. Cuzzy was close. We've told that story. We almost had Cuzzy at the end of 2009, and
the board decided against it. Didn't it?
And Dusty was it was actually funny. Dusty was a mad St Kilda supporter growing up, so he was in his element. He was getting, this is true, selfies with Robert Harvey, and he was getting around everyone. And then one of the staff that still works at St Kilda was there and just looked at Dusty, and he was still in pretty good nick. And while we're recruiting everyone to the club at the moment, they said, "Any chance, Dusty, you want to come out of retirement?" Because he's still travelling all right. But we had a good day.
One of the
Where were you?
staff.
You catch it? We just went to Port Melbourne somewhere.
The Bolo?
Nah, not the Bolo. Are you having do you catch up?
Ours is the first Saturday of December
That's right,
every year.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be good fun. Is the Mafia okay, though?
Mafia's good.
After the Brownlow and that controversial...
You say it, Dilsa. He has a 34 and kick 4.
You think we need to pay the umpire a visit? You think there's one more visit that we
I
need
wasn't going to go that far. Just maybe a phone call would suffice.
It is grand final.
Also, it's in the bed stuffer.
It is grand final week, Damo, and the selection news is always on the top of the agenda throughout the week. We'll get the latest with you next on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. That's it. Get grand final ready with BWS. See BWS website for store locations. Choose to drink wise. Fair dinkum or Fugazi, and your grand final predictions still to come on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. But Damo, it's time for some news. Lachie Neale, is he going to play on Saturday?
It seems that way, Rabsy. He's been building up to do so now for the best part of a fortnight, having been ruled out for the season after pinging his calf in the qualifying final, and that was his first appearance back after 4 weeks of absence with a groin injury. So it's been miraculous regardless of what happens, the fact that he's a massive chance to play. Guys, I just wanted to put it both to you. Does it become an easier decision to make with the doubt over him and his ability to get through the game now that Jared Berry almost certainly won't be playing for the shoulder-popping reasons that have now happened to him twice in the past 4 weeks, and the most recent one from the preliminary final? They just simply cannot have faith in him, unfortunately, getting through the game with that arm popping as it did in the most recent game. So is it easier, Joey?
I think it is.
That is now the outcome for Lachie?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it makes a bit more sense that, unfortunately for Berry, he misses out most likely, and Neale, I think, plays. And at the end of the day, when you're an experienced player like him and as good a player as he has been, you've got to trust the player and say, you're not going to let us down, are you? You do believe that you can get through a game. We are lucky with a sub that if he does break down, worst case scenario, probably Brucey Reville comes on at some stage, and they don't lose too much because Neale, has been injured anyway. But it's a remarkable story to get himself up. 4 to 6 week injury, season over, 3 weeks going to play.
Would you even potentially, Days, start him as the sub?
Yeah, well, they're all obviously options, and how you do it, I'm not sure what you'd be doing, because the part of me that loves everything about this is the romance of what if he plays and he's best on ground, and he's the difference, and he, if he wins a Norm Smith or he has moments where
he arguably could have and should have won last year.
Correct, yeah. But there's also the skeptic in me that goes, it's grand final day. We've seen players go in sore before and it hasn't really worked and come out and in that favour. And you just go back to last weekend, the impact Scott Pendlebury had when he was out of the game very early, and then how that wasn't ideal for the Pies. And
I remember Phil Davis was he was doing a fitness test and shouldn't have
Sam-
played. In
Sam
hindsight,
Reid?
shouldn't have played.
Sam Reid twice.
Sam Reid,
a couple of times.
And even Swans players last year, Amati and McDonald were clearly not right. In
And
that
so the biggest stage,
Mills in 16. Yep.
your weaknesses and your deficiencies, they get really exposed. They get highlighted. And if you are not able to cover the ground and run defensively, which Lachie wasn't in that qualifying final either. Like, he was really struggling. And we spoke about this post when he got subbed out. He had 35 disposals, only 2 score involvements, 2 clearances, 3 inside 50s. So he was sort of just around the
Hovering
ball.
around.
But then you look at Geelong did. Bailey Smith, Max Holmes, they combined for nearly a kilometre of metres gained, a heap of inside 50s. But the scores from stoppages. So when you're either winning it there or you're not in the spread. So they gave up, the Brisbane Lions. The Cats scored 7 goals, 8 from stoppage, 4 goals, 4 of those from around the ground stoppage.
Right.
So they could not go with them. There was no heat on the ball leaving the stoppage, which means it goes inside forward 50 and you get great looks and you score.
Yep.
If that's the case again, Geelong, I think, would be sitting there going, please play.
Please play, yeah. As weird as that sounds for a two-time Brownlow medalist and someone who, as we said before, could, should, whatever you want to use, won the Norm Smith last year. Geelong has got its own issues in terms of who they replaced Tom Stewart out with concussion. We've discussed that matter all week. He's out, obviously. Stanley is right to go. Is it as simple as bringing a big man in for a big-ish man, or is Jed Buse, who played late in the home and away season, arguably better cover for all options when it comes to the need to fill the Stewart absence.
Yeah, this is a tricky one because Stanley's done a great job this year and working with Blitzarves, but Mark Blitzarves' 2 finals as the number 1 ruck has been elite. And you spoke about the stoppage scores, Daisy. He's been a big part of that. So do they want to change that up? Jed Buse makes sense because they can just say, you go play on Charlie Cameron, put him away and lock him down and just go with what's worked. But if they bring in Stanley, it just gives them a lot more flexibility with Blitzarves, which they use so well. They can play Blitzarves in all these different roles. They can confuse the Brisbane Lions. I don't know which way this is going to go. I think it's a really tricky one for the match committee.
Is there whispers that Big O might be an out if this doesn't go, if they don't go with the ruckman?
I haven't heard that. I'd be surprised if they contemplated that, Daisy, just
considering
the emotional
last year,
situation where he lost his rights for the grand final on the back of banging up his own shoulder in the prelim last year, and the love that they've got for him, the fact they brought him back for that semi-final too, like he didn't play in the qualifying final, brought him back and gave them some options against the Suns, and I feel that having now got through weeks 2 and 3 with both Fort and McInerney key parts of it, I couldn't see a way they take him out, given the emotional attached.
I think Geelong, you have to go with a true ruckman because of the reasons we've just spoken about. Right. If you can get it outside the bubble and take away the impact of your Lockie Neal, McCluggage is going to get sat on again, and you just take that completely away from them winning it right at the source through some of your own dominance, it's going to go a long way to them winning the game. So I would expect Stanley comes in, just a shuffling of the magnets and away they go.
Yep. Josh Dunkley, one of my favourite players to watch play. 10th season of footy. It's his 5th grand final for 2 footy clubs. Obviously winning as a teenager in 2016 at the Bulldogs, 2021 lost grand final there in Perth against Melbourne, and then now the past 3 grand finals. It's an extraordinary part of his CV and someone who's going to be as crucial as anyone days when it's all said and done as to how this game unfolds.
Remarkable player and has the perfect balance between defensive integrity but also being a part of their offense. Yeah. So you're not a liability just locking someone away. He's a treat to watch, and he is, and rightfully so, one of your favourite players because of how he goes about it. Terrific guy, hard, does everything right and very rarely puts in a bad one. So he's going to have to be at his absolute best wherever he gets sent on the weekends. And
who will it be too?
It's Bailey Smith.
It's only around stoppage.
Yeah,
they're not going to. He's not going to run with him around the ground. He's just going to try.
He probably couldn't, could he?
Nah,
as good as he is.
He does, and won't really do that role. So it's just going to be to try and fix up the stoppage game for the Brisbane Lions.
Is there a chance he just goes to head with Atkins? Because Atkins' final series has been unbelievable in terms of actually what he's doing at the source.
Yes.
Yeah,
it was. I was glad, personally, that Mabior Chol got cleared last night via the tribunal operations for the tackle on Tom Stewart. I know that the Match Review Office was obliged to give him 3 weeks, given the concussion outcome for Stewart, but I felt there were mitigating circumstances. I'm glad the tribunal actually factored all that in. I thought his own feet were taken in that action. Anyone got a differing view? To that?
Right outcome.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have got 3.
They got there quickly too, so well done.
Accidents happen on footy fields, and I think we just need to factor that into all considerations around it.
There is still a difference.
Sport.
And there is a difference between being reckless in a tackle or careless, and just sometimes these things happen.
Yep. Essendon, it just goes from bad to worse. 3 years of presidency of David Barham ended yesterday when he used the club's platforms media-wise to reveal that Andrew Welsh will be taking over in that role. He'd been his vice president there for some time. I think it's just been 3 years of mess under David Barham, to the point where the captain and someone who next Thursday night will most likely win a 6th best and fairest at Essendon, Zach Merritt, still wanting out. The bloke you spoke to on Monday night, Days, look, he saying the right things publicly, but he was alluding to big decisions he still has to make. He did attend the Brownlow, will attend the Crichton Medal, and then I still believe strongly, despite the change at the very top of the club with David Barham exiting, seek to get his way to Hawthorn.
So despite Andrew Welsh, who I thought was pretty impressive, the way that he did the rounds yesterday, said Zach Merritt will be at Essendon day 1 of pre-season. He was pretty emphatic about it.
He was.
You've been around a long time. Do you believe that, or do you still think that's a bit of posturing?
That's the party line. That's the public positioning on it. He's got 2 years to run of a contract. If I'm Andrew Welsh, I'm saying exactly the same thing. But Andrew Welsh knew what he was doing when it got out publicly that he met with Sam Mitchell. It was and this is the phrase we've come to use in this storyline, it was the nuclear option for him to make it public, and he knew that it was then going to get ugly. It has, and I don't think there's any point doing that if you don't then explore all possibilities through the trade period.
Just a mess. A genuine mess this has turned into across the whole club. So they need to sort it out. And if Zach doesn't want to be there, and I know you have to sell he's going to be here so we get the most for him, but surely you just go, mate, all right, fair enough. We're starting fresh.
Yeah. And they can get a lot for him, but again, it's not where they intended or planned to be. So just on the Brownlow, like everyone, you have commentaries around it, and we have for 30 years when it comes to, certain results, and the Nasiah Wanganeen Miller situation this year is the big talking point out of it. But it's a flawed system allowing umpires to vote in it, but I would argue it's less flawed than any other possible system. There's other awards. Coaches get to vote on theirs. Players get to vote on theirs. Media has lots of awards. The players, get to vote their own MVP. I still think it's the best system and the best option. Mistakes are made. I get that, but they still, ultimately, in my eyes, find the right winner. Sometimes it's by a too great a margin, which it was this year. 7 votes was the winning margin this year, as it was last year, with 39 votes this year. 45 last year. I think that's become a bit of an issue, but to me, still, it's the least flawed system and the one with the most credibility attached to it. The umpires, in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily agreeing there. I think when you get the chance to watch the game back, well, I just think that it's the coaches one is probably the most accurate because they get to assess the game. You get 2 different opinions, but I agree that it is the umpires' award, so I don't want to see it change at all. I just think the umpires do need access to stats. Because even as us, Daisy, doing games where we have to give votes, it does help just to give you a bit of a trigger. Oh, yeah, that player, he hasn't had as much ball as I thought. You don't use it and say, well, they're number 1, 2, and 3 because they've got
as
the
long
most
as you don't
disposed.
do that.
But
as long as it's not becomes a champion data award.
No, you've got to give them more credit than that. I just think they need access to help the howlers. Some of those games where Rao, they might have thought he had impact, then look and go, gee, only 16 disposals. Maybe he didn't have as much impact as we think. So you're right, though. The top 4 in the coaches' votes were basically the same 4 in the Brownlow, just a different order. So it's not like it was really a big surprise. I just think they need access to some votes, to some stats.
The room when Nas didn't get the 3 votes, that was hilarious. Like even the Melbourne table, Christian Petrarca's shocked. Max Gawn sitting there pissing himself laughing. It was that was the one. Because all the others you can go, fair enough, maybe not. That was the one where you go, well, there's a massive miss. But we criticise the umpires for getting a lot of things wrong throughout the home and away season, and we expect them to get it right when it comes to votes.
Huge grand final coming up on Saturday. The Cats and the Lions will get your keys to success for both teams, who wins, and also your Norm Smith prediction. But up next on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub, it is fair dinkum or Fugazi. Let's start with you, Damo. Adding Premiership captain to his resume will be the ultimate triumph for the already Hall of Fame superstar Patrick Dangerfield.
Absolutely fair dinkum. I think it's a really good call, Rabsy. He's done pretty much everything, and he too could have had a Norm Smith medal, as we referred to before with Lachie Neale, and he might do both on the weekend. But I think he's driven to add this to it. He's all about team, don't get me wrong, but the status of being the leader of that team at this late stage of his career would cap it off absolutely beautifully.
Fugazi, he needs a Coleman as well.
There's 2 blokes who played at the pointy end. Yeah. Danger's game on the weekend, it was incredible.
It's as good as
it's as good as you're going to get.
Ever.
Ever. And what makes it remarkable is his age. But I think we've said this before, the best contest winner we've ever seen in the game.
It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous how he's built.
Yep.
Yeah.
Daisy, 3 grand finals in his first 3 seasons. Jasper Fletcher is an unsung star for the Lions.
Yeah, fair dinkum. I think he's starting to get a little bit more recognition, but he is still 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th down the rung. When you look at their superstars, McCluggage, Neale, the Ashcrofts are probably thereabouts, but no, he's had a fantastic start to his footballing career, and he's getting better week in, week out. So I look forward to seeing him again on the big stage because it's a hell of a start to a season. 3 seasons, 3 GFs.
Joey, remarkably, win or lose, the Lions are going to be significantly stronger in 2026.
Yeah, that is fair income, Rabsy. This team is only just coming into their prime, which is scary for a side that's played finals for 7 years and their 3rd straight grand final. They've got players coming in from injury too. Don't forget Kitty Coleman and Answorth and Jack Payne, and guys are important members of the team. Plus, they've got some Hipwood as well. Plus, they're going to get another top-end draft pick. And you mentioned players from other clubs. It's incredible.
And the players they've got, they're getting it better as well.
They're all in their prime. Rayner, McCluggage, Berry, Zach Bailey, they're all still in their prime.
The kids who are starting to come into it, Wilmots.
The Ashcrofts.
Gallup.
This could be seriously a 13-year run of being a contender, which would be phenomenal. But
13.
Well, they're at 7 now, sort of 6 or 7. Maybe give the first year they weren't really a contender.
I thought you meant grand finals.
No, just as a contender,
gotcha.
pushing for the grand finals. So. Yeah, well, true. Good one.
Make sure Jasper doesn't tile that one up.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
it'll
Yeah,
come
don't
back
tile
to
that
haunt
one
you.
up. Exactly right. Thank you.
Damo, remarkably, win or lose, the Cats could get significantly stronger in 2026.
Yeah, fair dinkum. I mean, they don't get weaker. They've had some two glitches under Chris Scott's coaching in terms of not making finals, but they're always thereabouts. And look, Curnow is a possibility. It's still his preferred outcome when it comes to the trade period. And if it's not the Cats, then Sydney and Gold Coast will be parts of his considerations. I wouldn't rule them out of it. I'm not ruling them in either. It's the longest shot of the three.
Yeah, but there's names like Ryan Marshall, James Warple, a few others that are going to make them pretty handy next year if those ones go through. So, yeah,
is that your
watch
mail
this.
on Marshall? That it's
No,
still...
I don't know that for sure. But
no, that hasn't gone away. That talk,
that's right.
yeah.
There is a bit of talk. So
He's contracted as a Saint, but yeah, the Cats have absolutely shown interest.
Sticking with you, Damo, with Oscar McInerney and Max Holmes, there's fairy tales for either winner on Saturday.
Yeah, there is. And I'm really glad both players get the chance to come back in. I mean, the double whammy with Holmes was the prelim problem he had last year as well as the missing the 2022 Grand Final. And yeah, there was no more team evident player than Oscar McInerney last year. In the lead up to that game where Darcy Fort took his spot at the very last moment and the celebrations he had personally with Darcy and as the wider Lions group, it just goes to show what that guy means to that club, and he gets a chance to be part of a success this week. I love it.
Joey, we spoke about this a little bit earlier. The Lions should heed the lessons Collingwood learned on the weekend and not take injured players into a final.
Heed it.
Fugazi. There's always risks. Every grand final, there's risk. Players play injured, and we laud them when it comes off, and we're going to lament if it doesn't work. But I think sometimes with some players, the special ones, you take a risk. So, Lions should have a crack at it with Neil.
Daisy, Collingwood must match any bid from the Gold Coast for Jamie Elliott.
Fugazi, not any bid. If they start throwing some ridiculous stuff around or whatever that looks like, I think that is Fugazi. But it would be a mighty shame to lose a bloke who's been there and now playing his absolute best footy. To get rid of him at the peak of his powers, so to speak, would be a shame. But no, that's not fair dinkum. It's Fugazi that they must match any bid.
They have to keep him if they want to go to the well again next year, Damo. And they're going all in with these senior players, it looks like, for one more year. They're going to need someone to kick goals, Days.
Yeah, well, he kicked 60, as we know, this year, 52 in the home and away season, and then 4 each in the two finals he
They're
played.
going to have to stump up and pay him.
And my check a chance to, he's rumoured as to looking and exploring options as well. So there's another 30-odd goals.
Looks
likely to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sticking with you, Days, the Bulldogs table is the most must-watch at Brownlow night.
Yeah, that's fair income. They are good fun. Obviously, their twos had won the grand final just the night before, so I think they were still having a pretty good time. They've got a really good culture there in terms of the AFL boys going to support the VFL boys regardless, and they get to their little haunt there over in Spotswood, I think it is, the railway, and or Yarraville, wherever it is, they just rip right in, and it is good fun. It's good to see. And I like that they're still allowed to have a bit of fun.
You were right next to their table.
It's a players' night. It's a night for the players.
They were good. And
doing a couple of froggies with the champagne glasses.
They were right next to the Geelong table. And look, this is body language, and I may have misread it, but I think I saw a few dark looks across the Bailey Smith's way. So, it was just right next to each other, and clearly, he's about to go play in a grand final, and they had him on their books.
Also touched on this a little bit earlier. The AFL umpires who vote on the Brownlow mustn't know how influential the St Kilda Mafia really is, Damo.
I think we better throw this one to Daisy because he can put the voice on.
Or do we want to hear the votes from that game?
Yes.
Yeah.
St Kilda, Melbourne, C. Petrarca, 1 vote. St Kilda, N. Wanganeen Miller, 2 votes. Melbourne, J. Viney, 3 votes.
Marlon Brando, over to you.
Incredible. Joey. Jack Viney. What the did he do? You're killing me, kid.
I said before, the umpires need to be careful.
Jack Viney actually was involved in the play that won the game.
Yeah,
He didn't.
that was sort of the irony of it. He was the one
Maybe go to the back of the square and go stand.
Slaughtered where he needed to be.
Oh, boy.
Max Gorman said on the Rush Hour yesterday he was laughing because he thought he was the best Melbourne player and Track and Viney got votes ahead of him. Joey, I'm going to play you a bit of audio here. The question to you is, Jack Heverin nails the big moments every single time.
Turns around and fires away. It won't quite make the distance. What a fly from Elliott! What? Jamie Elliott in the goal square takes a hanger. He got all sorts of hang time.
Yeah, that's why you must listen to Triple M whenever you're not on a TV. Have a listen because we have the best in the business, and they're all very good there.
the commentary box next to you, we won't say who it was, they stayed in their seats. Daisy, you were up. Izzy was up. You could hear JB. He was up.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else was stationary.
It genuinely makes me laugh so much when we do that.
Yeah.
Like, we'll be on a Sunday and we will be on the floor crying, and you look across the rest of the boxes and they're like, how much longer we got to go?
To be fair, Stevie Johnson's asking the coach of Collingwood about someone from Carlton.
This is
so
true.
that's why you're on the floor.
No, it helps. It helps.
Finally, with you, Damo, forget Andrew Dillon, forget the Cup ambassador Jack Revolt. Bill Brownless is the busiest man this grand final week.
Geelong being in the grand final confirms that. He is anyway, Rabsy, but when they're in the big one, he makes it somehow all about himself. So, yeah, he's a... I think he started last Friday night as the game was unfolding, and it's so far he's got through to Wednesday, and I don't think he's taken a breath, and he's still got a few days to go. So yeah, big watch on Bill.
His start to the Saturday rub was incredible.
Incredible.
He must have still been blowing bubbles, was he?
I don't think he knew he was on air.
I was driving around in stitches.
Probably revealed a few conversations that he really shouldn't have revealed.
And then got to the bottom that he couldn't get rid of 5 tickets.
And he sold him at a loss.
The Cats are in a huge grand final against the Lions. Up next, for the final time, we're going to get your predictions for this weekend's games on Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub. You can catch all the action from grand final day on Triple M and the Listener app starting from midday with the Saturday Rub. JB, Bill, Bernie and Damo live from the stage outside of the Triple MCG. This is the Midweek Rub for the last time this year, so we'll give some thanks to Will, who filled in while I was away, plus Jack Heverin, Jasper, Ethan and Beersy, the digital boys who sit out in the darkness out there, and Matty Hayward, who puts the show together as well. So thank you very much for a great year, and thanks each of you, Daisy, Joey and Damo, for a great year on the Midweek Rub. Now let's have a look at the Saturday Grand Final. Who is going to win and why? Your keys to success, Joey, for the Brisbane Lions.
No, I'm doing the Cats. I'll have a look at the Cats, why they can win the game or what are going to be the keys. And the first one for me comes to mind is their team defence and their defence, because Tom Stewart is a big out despite them looking good without him last week. And we have seen Brisbane in recent times, not in the qualifying final, but previously, be able to slice through the Geelong defence with their ball movement, because Geelong are a team that rely on straight line footy. That's how they set the game up. They want teams to kick straight. If you can change angles on Geelong and challenge them, they have shown at times defensively they can leak goals. And Brisbane have the firepower to kick 5 goals in a hurry, and we could be sitting in the second quarter or third quarter, and they could be out to a 20-odd point lead, and the Cats can be up against it. So their team defence has to be rock solid. That's going to be the big one for them. If they can just stifle the ball movement of the Brisbane Lions, I think their system stacks up. And the other thing for the Cats will be, do they replicate the exact same matchups they went with in the qualifying
What's
final?
your gut feel on that?
Oh, I think you would. I think as a coach or a player, if I'm McCluggage...
So Mullen to McCluggage.
Yep, because if I'm McCluggage, it'll be in my head that Mullen absolutely towed me up.
Yep.
And you'd be overthinking, what can I do? How can I get off him? Do I go and make a 2v1? Do I go play a different position?
So don't get too cute with that from a Geelong perspective.
I think just do it again. Yeah. And Mark O'Connor was in Rayner's head. Let's be honest. The reason why those free kicks happen in the goal square is because O'Connor was getting into Rayner. And
so
you got
back that system in again.
I think so.
Yeah.
I would just go with it again, which would be interesting for Chris Scott because he's such a creative coach. He likes to change it up. Does he overthink himself?
He does,
and maybe go to someone else? But if they can stop the influence of Rayner and McCluggage, who are huge in their score involvement opportunities, then I think the Cats are in good shape.
Yeah, so for the Brisbane Lions, well, it's almost exactly what you're saying, but in reverse. So Harris Andrews has got to have a really big impact in that because he's the one, he's intercepting, but that's also starting up their offense with blokes like Zorko getting past Wilmot, who's been unreal. The midfield battle, they're going to have to be better, the Brisbane Lions, than what they were against the Cats in the quali. Obviously, round 15, they went down to the Cattery and were good enough to win. And that was on the back of Logan Morris kicking 5 goals. Their forward line looked potent and dangerous. Whether or not you can do that on the biggest stage, though. So we've seen these young kids, very good last week. Gallup and Morris have to do it again. And that's probably the question mark as to who you're stopping at the other end when you look at Jeremy Cameron and Paddy Dangerfield, the form they're in. Also, Tyson Stengel's in underrated form.
Plays well in finals,
and if he was kicking goals rather than points, he would be spoken about completely different. So there's a lot to take away. I think the Lions have to take away a lot more than Geelong have to take away from the Brisbane Lions. So it's going to be tough. But the midfield battle and also the intercept mark, because they can get them. It's turnover, it's slice and dice and go from there.
Huge. Damo, you've heard an argument for both teams.
Yeah.
Who is going to win and why? Before you'll give your predictions, Joey, you've tipped 5 winners of the 8 finals so far. Daisy, you've tipped 4, and Damo, you've tipped 3.
Oh, no.
Well, I think I know where Damo's going.
Yeah,
If he's
well,
consistent with what he's gone with all year long.
North.
Imagine if he jumps off now.
Two of those 3 that I have tipped would have been Geelong.
He's tipped Geelong in
week
every
1 and
single
week 3.
game this
So,
year.
yeah, it's Geelong for me. But it's not a confident tip on the grand final. It's I was quite confident last week on them, but not this week. I'm going to look, for what it's worth, a 7-point margin for the Cats, and I really like Jack Martin's back half of year, and I just think he's
The claw.
Stevie J's claw. Look, he's always had ability. We've now got to see it in a good team at a pointy end of a season, which we haven't before, and I like what he presents going into this game.
Well, I'm a bit like Damo. Geelong with my pre-season tip. I've been on them all year long. As much as I can picture, as I just mentioned before, Brisbane going through a little period in this game where they pile on 4 or 5 goals and maybe put the Cats under the pump, I just can't go past Geelong. I think Chris Scott's the best coach in the league. They're primed for this week. They've set themselves. You spoke about some of the names. Too many weapons, and I think they'll take away some weapons of Brisbane. So the Cats by 11. My Norm Smith prediction, this man is built for finals. He had kicked 6 and had 30 in a VFL Grand Final. I'm going Shawnee Manor. I reckon Shawn Manor
Young player of the year.
He'll kick 3 and have 23.
There you go.
And in a tight
3
count,
and
I think
23.
he will win the Norm Smith medal.
Damo, Norm Smith, quickly before we get the days.
Yeah, Jack Martin.
Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
I'm going to be tipping the Cats, and by a margin of about 4 or 5 goals. That qualifying final, albeit the umpires intervened, that should have been every bit of 60, 70, 80, and maybe beyond in that one. The Lions, we know, have bounced back, and you've been big on their bounce back factor.
They have been,
and they've shown us that the last couple of weeks, but I just think you go in there, you can take away McCluggage, you got Lachie Neale who's underdone, you're reliant on a bloke who's played 5 games in Gallup to play his best football again, Morris who has the ability to be best on ground, but also being a young fella, there's a lot of fluctuations in his best, so the Cats, they're just so good. They are so good, and hopefully it's a better game than I'm thinking it's going to be, but 4 or 5 goals the margin, and Tom Atkins, your Norm Smith medalist.
Okay.
There you go. All 3 boys in the Midweek Rub have tipped the Cats this Saturday by varying margins. Thank you very much for listening this year. We very much appreciate it. Don't forget, you can catch all the action from Grand Final Day on Triple M
There he is.
and the listeners.
I'll be up and about.
The dog father.
You better play this song.
You will hear him on Triple M as well, because after the Saturday Rub, we're taking Snoop Dogg live before the game. Make sure you listen
I'm going to find him in September Club.
Well, potentially he might be coming tomorrow to our OB at the Corner Hotel.
Well, I'm better.
Really? This has been the Triple M Footy's Midweek Rub all year.